Welcome to Maths. This video is explaining the topic that is formulae, change of subject or formula. That's the topic, as you can see on the screen. That's the topic that we are doing on this video, right? Then after watching the video, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe the video. Share this video, right? Right. The details, the contacts, everything is there on the screen. I'm sure you can see it on the screen. Now let's start the ball rolling. Let's get into the depth of it. Right. There are about 4 types of formulae that you will learn today. Basically, in the exams, they work hand in hand. You have to apply one after the other. They don't work like an elephant on an island. Right. So now let's start with the first one. Well, let me write them down like here. So the first one, number 1, this one is just general formulae. Let me just list them. General type. Then after the general type, you have number 2, where there is a common factor. Then number 3, where there are brackets. Then number 4, where there is or there are fractions. Then number 5, so there are 5 actually, where there is a square root or a square. Or just a square. Square root, cube root, fourth root, all those things, they're just there on part 5. Right, so let's get started. The first part, the general formulae. What will it be like? These are just simple formulae. For example, if I can say make x subject to formulae, I can say a is equals to b minus x. Then I say make x subject to formulae. Remember, these formulae, they are like equations. Basically, that's the background of equations. This is the background of it, of everything actually. Right, so what you do is, if you want to make x subject to formulae, x must be on its own side. This statement or this one, it can be asked like, express x in terms of a and b. That one is the same as saying make x subject to formulae. Please take note of that. So collect like terms, whatever with x, let's put to the right side, to the left side. Then without x, to the right side of the equal sign. Then you are done. So that's it. Now we have made x subject to formulae in this case. That's the general formulae, the simple formulae in this case. Right. Then if I can also say another example, this one was 1. Number 2, ax is equals to b. Then want to make x subject to formulae. What I'm supposed to do? You just divide by a. So divide by a both sides, because you want x to be on this left side on its own without anything. So it will be b over a. That will be the final answer. Then you are done on this one. Then let's move on to the second type. That is where there is a common factor. Common factor. So when working out these things, you have to know, okay, which type is this one? Then you can be able to work it out. So when there's a common factor, what do? Right? For example, ax plus bx is equals to c. Then what you want here is to make x subject to formulae. How are you supposed to do it? Right? If we can say ax plus bx, this one, you can't work them out like that. What you do is you have to factor them out, unless or otherwise A and B were numbers, were not letters, then you are going to simplify right away. But in this case, you can't simplify. What I'm supposed to do, you factor out x, which means you factorize. So it will be a plus b in the brackets. Right. Now we have 1x. We have 1x. What I'm supposed to do, we divide with the number with x. That the coefficient of x in this case is a plus b, both sides. So divide by a plus b, both sides, over a plus b. X is equals to c over a plus b. So this will be your final answer. Then you are done. Then another example. Let me put another example. Example 2. Ax plus b is equals to x. Like this. Right, so the first thing is to collect like terms. Like terms, we're saying the terms that contains the letter that you want to make subject. In this case is x. So all terms containing x, that's supposed to be on the left side. So let's collect like terms. Ax minus x is equals to minus b. Now you have collected like terms. The next step, this one, they are now factors. Common factor x. Then you have to factor out x here. So it will be xa minus 1 is equals to minus b. Then after this, you divide by a minus 1 by a minus 1, both sides. Right, so divide by a minus 1, both sides. Then it will be x is equals to minus b over a minus 1. This will be your final answer. Then you are done. So these are the first two types of a formulae as far as formulae is concerned. Now moving on to the third type. When there are brackets, what do? It's simple. You just remove the brackets. Then you can collect like terms and you can simplify. That's what you can do. Right, let me find one more where there are brackets. Where there are brackets, that's the third type of formulae, brackets. So where there are brackets, what I'm supposed to do, example, ax is equals to b c plus x. In this case, we want to make x subject to formulae. So first thing, you have to remove the brackets. Then after that, you can apply another type of formulae. So it will be ax is equals to bc plus bx. Then after removing the brackets, collect like terms. It will be ax minus bx is equals to bc. Now, it's a common factor x. What I'm supposed to do? You factor out x. You factorize x, then a minus b is equals to bc. After that, you divide by a minus b. That's the coefficient of x, the number with x, or the value with x. So it will be x is equals to bc over a minus b. That will be your final answer. You're done. You're done. Then let me find another example. If I can say, for example, example 2, x, then a minus b is equals to b c minus x, like this. Right, so the first thing when there are brackets is to get rid of the brackets. You remove the brackets. X times a, it will be ax minus bx is equals to bc minus bc minus bx, like this. Because this one is an x, actually it's an x. Then collect like terms in x. Put everything with x on the left side of the equal sign. It will be ax minus bx plus bx is equals to bc. Right, now you can see bx and bx, they are common terms, which means they are common factors. they can be simplified together. It's minus bx plus bx. What's the answer? It's actually 0. It's actually 0. Then in case, for example, if they were not common terms, maybe the other b was a g, then we're just supposed to factor out x as it is, right? Which means inside the brackets, there were going to be 3 values inside the brackets. But in this case, minus bx plus bx, that's 0. So it will be ax is equals to bc. Then you divide by a both sides. Then you get x is equals to bc over a. Then you're done. So that's when there are brackets. That's how we work it out when there are brackets. Then the third type, fractions. Given that we have fractions, then how can you make a letter or a value subject to formulae? Right? Let me find an example where there are fractions, but the basic rule is you just have to get rid of the fraction. That's the first thing that you have to do. For example, if I can say a over x plus b over x is equals to 1, like this. Right, first thing, we have the denominator x. Let's get rid of the denominator x. How? You multiply everything by the lowest common multiple of the denominators. In this case, denominators we have x and x. So you multiply everything by x. That's the LCM, lowest common multiple of the denominator. So let's multiply. It will be x here, a over x plus x here, b over x is equals to x here times 1. It implies that then this one, they will cancel out, xx, then xx. So we'll be left with a plus b is equals to x times 1 is x. So it will be x is equals to a plus b. What you want is x, not a plus b. Because you want to make x subject the formula. So it's supposed to be x is equals to something, not a plus b is equals to something. That's why I've changed it to this form. Right. Then another example. Let me put another example. Example 2. It can be like x over 2a plus x over 3b is equals to b, like this, right? So we have to multiply everything by the lowest common multiple of the denominators. In this case, we have 2a and 3b. So what is the lowest common multiple of these denominators? 2 and 3, it's 6. A and b is ab. So we multiply everything by ab. ab here, then it will be x over 2a. It's 6ab actually, 6ab. Then plus 6ab. Then x over 3b is equals 6ab times b, like this. Then you simplify. 2 into 6, 3. A and a, they will cancel out. In this case, we'll be left with 3x. 3 times x plus here 3, 2. B, they will cancel. So it will be 2a multiplying x. Then is equals to 6ab times b. It will be 6ab squared. Now let's remove the brackets. Let's remove the brackets. Here it will be 3x plus 2ax is equal to 6ab squared, like this. Then there's a common factor on the left side, x. What you want is to make x subject to formula. So x is a common factor on the left side. You factor out x. Let's factor out x here. It will be 3 plus 2a is equals to 6ab squared. Right. Now what I'm supposed to do, you can guess. We divide both sides by 3 plus 2a. you divide by 3 plus 2a. So this one will cancel out, and finally we have x is equals to 6ab squared over 3 plus 2a. This will be your final answer. Then you are done. Right, so please take note, this is the same way that you used to solve equations with fractions. Equations with fractions is the same way, exactly this way. That's how you do it. Right, then the next type, when there's a square root, when there's a square root or is a square, how do you work out? That's the next step. Right, for example, let me write here square root or square. Right, let me explain using examples. For example, if I can say root x is equals to a, that is the square root of x is equals to a, then I can have another one here, x squared is equals to b, like this. Right, please take note of this. To remove the square root, basically, you apply the laws of indices. Then you just put the square. To remove the square root, you put a square. Then to remove the square, we put the square root. That's what you do. Because the thing that you want to do to make x subject to formulae here, on the first one, number one, you have to get rid of the square root. How do you get rid of the square root? You square both sides. So it will be root x squared is equals to a squared. Then square root of x squared is equals to a squared. Why is it square root of x squared x? There are two concepts here. One is based on the indices, then the second one is based on the sets. Root of a number times the root of that number, or square root of a number times square root of a number is equals to that number. Even if you can punch in your calculator, square root of 5 times square root of 5, what do you get? You get 5. Square root of 25 times square root of 25, you get 25. So square root of a number times square root of that number, you get that number. That's the result, right? Or if we can try to apply my indices, square root of x the same as x to the power half. So if you can square x to the power half, it will be x to the power half times 2. Then this 2 and 2 they'll cancel. Then it will be x. That's another dimension, right? So there are two ways in this case. Root of x times root of x, we say this equals to x. So whichever way you can understand, but if you understand both ways, it will be much more better for you. Now moving on to the second example. This second question, x squared is equals to b. X squared is equals to b. Right. First thing is to get rid of the power, which is 2 in this case. How do you get rid of the power 2? What you do is simple. There are two ways also. If there's a square, that one is, it's simple, it's easy. You just put under the square root. You put square root both sides, so it will be x is equals to square root of b. That's one way. To remove the square, you put square root. Or you can apply the way you work out equations involving indices. How? You want to get rid of this power 2. So to get rid of the power 2, you find a number which when you multiply by that 2, that power will give you 1. Because you want the power to be 1, not to be 2 like this. So any power that will be there, what you do is you find a number that when you multiply with that power will give you 1. So in this case, if it's true, the number usually is a reciprocal or the inverse or opposite of the number that will be there. If it's true, the opposite of 2 is 1 over 2. So you multiply by 1 over 2 to get 1 on 2, right? Or you can just say 2 times a number. You find a number here is equals to 1. Which number, when you multiply with 2, gives you 1? So this number will be half actually. That is when you are confused, you can just use this simple equation. It will work well in that way, right? So That number, when you found that number, in this case half, what do? You raise both sides to the power that number. So let's raise both sides to the power half. It will be x squared to the power half, or this side you can just multiply, is equals to b to the power half. So you raise both sides to the power half. Then if you can simplify this side, 2, they will cancel. It will just be x. Then x is equals to b to the power half. Then applying the laws of indices, b to the power half is the same as the square root of b. The square root of b. Because remember, you put the 2 here and your b here to the power 1. Then square root of b, the same as square root of b, like this. To the power 1, then there's nothing that 1 will affect. So it's the same as this way. So please take note of that. Right, let me take another example. For example, if it was cube root of x is equals to b, cube root of x minus 3 is equals to b, like this. And what you want to make subject of formulae in this example is x. You want to make x subject of formulae. How can you make x subject of formulae when it's like this now? Right. The first thing, to separate everything without x, you put it on the right side. Then everything with x on the left side. But as far as this one is concerned, you just have to move 3 to the right side. That's the first thing to do. It will be b plus 3, like this. Then, want now to get rid of this cube root. How do you get rid of the cube root? You can apply indices, or when there's a 3, you raise both sides to the power 3. Let me use both ways. To the power 3, like this one. B plus 3 to the power 3. Then cube root of x to the power 3. The answer will be x. The same way that we have done with the square root. So it will be b plus 3 to the power 3. Like this. Or you can apply indices. Here. How can you apply indices? Cube root of 3 right away from this one. You can say cube root of 3 the same as x to the power 1/3. Like this. So x to the power 1/3. Then, now you apply that concept. You want to get rid of the power with x, which is 1/3. What do? You multiply, or you find a number, which when you multiply with that power 1/3 will give you 1. What is the number? Is the inverse or the opposite of this power. If it's 1/3, then the number is 3/1, which is 3. So it will be x to the power 1/3 times 3 is equals to b. What you have done on the left side, you also do on the right side. This is a 3. Then this 3, they will cancel each other out. Then it will be x is equals to b plus 3 to the power 3. This will be your final answer. Still is the same. So you have to understand both ways, right? Let me do it another example for the sake of understanding. If I can say a square root of x minus 1 is equals to b, like this. Right. As you can see, x minus 1 is inside the square root, but a is outside the square root. So first thing first, you have to get rid of the number that is, or the value that is outside the square root. So you divide by a first. So it will be a square root of x minus 1 is equals to b over a. Please, step by step, please, because you have to show how you have done it, right? How you have made x subject to formulae. So step by step. Then a and a, they will cancel each other. It will be x minus 1 here, b over a. Right now, want to get rid of the square root. How do you get rid of the square root? Remember, from the first initial explanation, to remove the square root, what do? You square both sides. So in this case, you can just square both sides. X minus 1 squared is equals to b over a. Then you square also this side. Then after squaring, you just get what is inside the square root. Then on this side, you can share the power like this. So it will be a squared, b squared over a squared. Then after this, you have to get rid of that one. You put it on the other side so that you can have x on its own side, on the left side. Then x is equals to b squared over a squared plus 1. That will be your final answer. Then you will be done. Right? I'm sure you can see it's a bit much more easier. Let me find one more example. One more example. If I can say, right, let me find this one. Square root of x squared plus a squared is equals to b squared. Square root of a squared plus x squared plus a squared is equal to b squared. Right, let's use this one. So the first thing is to get rid of the square root. First thing is to get rid of the square root. That's what you do. How? You square both sides. So it will be square root of x squared plus a squared is equal to b squared. Then you square this side. You also square this side. This side you can just multiply by 2 here. Then after that, you have x squared plus a squared is equals to b to the power 4. Was 2 times 2 is 4. Then now you get rid of a squared. Move it to the right side where there is b. X to the power 2 is equals to b to the power 4 minus a squared. Then it will be, now we have to get rid of the power 2. This one, the power with x. Because you want x to be on its own without any power or without any value. Then let's move on here. You say x squared is equals to b to the power 4 minus a squared. Now to get rid of the square, what do? You put square root. Put square root both sides. So both sides you put the square root. So it is to get rid of the power 2. Then it will be x here is equals to root of b to the power 4 minus a squared, like this. Then you are done. So thank you for watching. This is how we work out in these things involving change of subject or formula. Please like the video and share the video with others.